This is Scott Lovebridge with the North Central Regional Center for Rural Development. I'm pleased to be your moderator today's session on the online festival and event management course from the University of Minnesota Tourism Center. Our presenter today is Dr. Qian. She's a specialist with the Tourism Center at the University of Minnesota and the lead instructor of the course. She leads a team of instructors to deliver and continuously improve the course, and she also collaborates with colleagues from different units around the university to develop special topic sessions for the course. And in addition to managing and teaching the course, she leads a variety of applied tourism research topics, including visitor profile projects, different destinations of Minnesota, through sustainable tourism, economic impact and health effects of biking, and profiling festivals and events in Minnesota. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. And if you've got questions, folks, just put them in the chat box and we'll get them to her as we move along. So go ahead.
Great. Thank you so much, Scott. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking the time to join this webinar this afternoon. I'm going to introduce the online festival and event management class offered by the University of Minnesota Tourism Center. So let me start this webinar with a brief introduction of the Tourism Center. So the Tourism Center is a collaboration between University of Minnesota Extension and the College of Food, Agricultural, and Natural Resource Sciences. The mission of the Tourism Center is to lead, prepare, and support the tourism industry to achieve success and sustainability. As such, we at the Tourism Center educate the workforce, inform decisions, and engage communities with educational programs, applied research, and community engagement. And one of the educational programs we offer is the online festival and event management class. This class is aimed at helping students to be a better event manager, and the content is mostly focused on management strategies instead of day-to-day operations of events. Specifically, we have 3 objectives for the class. First, we want to give more and hopefully better strategies to organize and manage festivals and events. The second objective is to get students to apply these strategies to event management, including market and position the event for long-term success, achieve fiscal sustainability, minimize risks, and maximize human resources. The third objective is to motivate students to recognize and evaluate the importance of festivals and events from a community development perspective. So here is a brief history of the class. The class goes back over 20 years. It was first initiated in 1991 to meet the needs of Minnesota communities that are looking to take their events up a notch. And in 1998, this class underwent a complete revision. Then most recently, in 2011, this class was adapted for complete online delivery. Before 2011, it was delivered first completely in person and then as a hybrid, but now it's completely online. Let me continue with a course overview. So in each calendar year, we have 2 offerings of the class. The first offering starts in mid-February and ends in early April, so that's in spring. And the second offering is in fall. It starts usually in mid-September and ends in early November. Each offering lasts for 8 weeks. And again, it's delivered completely online and it is asynchronous. By saying asynchronous, it means that students can self-pace themselves. So for example, we have many students who work part-time or full-time during the day, and so they can only have time to take in the course content either in the evenings or over the weekend. So we do not set a time for students and instructors to be there, so to speak, at the same time. We do not set such time frame, and so students can access the class during the time that works the best for them. And since the class was adapted for online delivery, the class size has been stable. For each offering, we usually have anywhere between 12 to 16 students. And so this comparatively speaking smaller class size makes it advantageous for the instructors to engage the students, to communicate with them, to interact with them, and of course to answer their questions. As a class that is delivered completely online and being asynchronous, it is paramount for us to create opportunities for instructor and student interactions. So here are several ways that that we engage student and increase the interaction. Recently, we started using something called a flip grid for self-introduction. So at the beginning of the class, we always have the self-introduction section, and a flip grid is a website, really straightforward, very easy to use. And if you have internet, a webcam, and a headphone, you will be able to record a short video. And the beauty of Flipgrid is each video can last no longer than 90 seconds. And so you don't have to go on, and it can be really brief. And a second way for us to encourage interaction is discussion forums for each week. So we have 8 weeks, and for each week, we have at least 2 discussion forums. And so on the discussion forums, students answer questions that instructors post ahead of time, and they interact with other students with questions and answers. And oftentimes, we can be amazed by the wealth of information and experience that students actually share with each other. So it is very organic and it can get quite active. And we also have 2 pre-scheduled phone meetings that are optional. So we list these 2 phone meetings in the syllabus, and we encourage students to participate in the phone meetings. However, they are optional, not required. So during each of the phone meetings, we'll have instructors being available to discuss topics of interest or concern, to answer any questions they have, and in general to interact with the students to get to know them better. And of course, we have email communications. And if a student asks for an individual phone conversation with any of the instructors, we make these appointments very quickly. So this class has 8 weeks. Then what are these 8 weeks about? So here is a overview of the class structure. So the first 6 weeks of the class is called the regular portion. For each of the 6 weeks, we have one topic. So for example, week 2 is site planning, and week 5 is human resource management. And for each overarching topic of every week, there is no regular change to these topics. Of course, we have, for example, updates of reading materials within a week. However, the overarching topic of one week usually stays the same. So it is site planning in week 2 in fall 2013, and it will be site planning in week 2 for spring 2015. And the 7th week of the class is timely topic number 1. This timely topic number 1 is newly developed materials. It's freshly developed, it's new. And this topic changes for each offering. And the last week, which is the 8th week, is timely topic number 2. Timely topic number 2 is a rerun. It is a rerun of previous offerings timely topic 1. So, for example, this past spring 2014, timely topic 1 is greening events. It talks about sustainability efforts. And so in fall 2014, timely topic number 2 is greening events again. And so this is how we set up the structure of the class. And here is a rundown of the topics for the regular portion of the class, which lasts for 6 weeks. So we begin with introduction and event principles in week one, followed by site planning and management in week two. We then move on to financial planning and management in week three, marketing in week four, and finish with human resource management in week five and evaluation in week six. For timely topics, as you know, the content changes for each offering, and there will be, various topics. Since the class has been offered online, we have had timely topics that focus on, for example, social media, customer service, greening events, which I just mentioned, economic impact analysis, and most recently, food safety. And with ongoing offering of the class, of course, we'll have more to come. So one example that is being developed in a pipeline is volunteer management. So let's move on with a more detailed look at each topic, or say each week. So what do we have for within a week? What students can expect to get? So for each week, or say for each topic, we start with required readings. We post required readings first and foremost at the top of each week to get the students into the materials, to get them familiarized with the key points of the week's topic with these required readings. And then students will get into pre-recorded presentations and presentations notes. As a asynchronous class, presentations obviously are pre-recorded by the instructors. And then we'll have the very important component that is discussion forums. So remember, discussion forums is a platform for students and instructors to interact with each other. And we expect students to answer questions that instructors post ahead of time. And it is a way for us to see how engaged each student is, and their level of understanding, what questions they have, and the type of resources they are looking for. And oftentimes within each week, or say within each topic, we have some resources to share with the students. So for example, a template of business plan. Another good example is an example of event evaluation questionnaire. And sometimes we will have multimedia content to share with students as well. Sometimes we have YouTube videos, for example, a clip of local news that can serve as a really good and brief case study. And the Tourism Center also did an expert interview series with festival and event industry professionals. And we have these interviews video recorded and also professionally edited, and so some of the content are very relevant and valuable to share as multimedia content. And we usually finish a week with optional readings, which can get students into a deeper and more nuanced understanding of this week's topic. And lastly, we have a little quiz, which we call Check Your Understanding. And so we do not grade the quiz. Students can take the quiz as many times as they would like until they, get it all and be satisfied with their understanding and the results. So it really is check the students' own understanding rather than for instructors to see how well, so to speak, each student has been doing. And for this particular course, we have a certificate of completion, which is optional. And the trend has been usually within each offering, we'll have anywhere between 30 to 40% of students who opt to earn this certificate of completion. And so the requirements to obtain the certificate can be broken down into two parts, basically. One is active participation in a class throughout throughout the whole time, particularly the online discussion forums, and in a timely manner, of course. It is very easy to tell if a student tries to jam in, say, 3 or even 4 weeks of content into 1 week or even one weekend. That kind of rushing through the content will not enable the student to deeply and actively engage in the online discussion forums. And the second requirement to obtain the certificate of completion is writing an event analysis paper. And so we post very detailed guidelines and a requirement for writing this paper. And we, of course, also set a deadline for a student to submit the event analysis paper. So with that, I believe I covered the basics of the class structure and the content, and I would like to move on to give you a brief introduction of my team of instructors. So this is me. Again, I'm a tourism specialist in a tourism center based on the St. Paul campus, and I teach 2 weeks, or say two topics. Week 1, Introduction and Event Principle, and Week 6, Evaluation. The instructor for Week 2, Site Planning and Management, is Dr. Ingrid Schneider. She is the Director of Tourism Center and also Professor in the Department of Forest Resources. The instructor for Week 3, which is financial planning, is John Bennett. John is an extension educator in the Center for Community Vitality based in Northeast Minnesota. The instructor for Week 4, which is marketing, is Ryan Pesh. Ryan is an extension educator in the Center for Community Vitality based in West Central Minnesota. Last but certainly not the least, the instructor for Week 5, which is Human Resource Management, is Neil Linscheid. Neil is also an extension educator in the Center for Community Vitality based in Southwest Minnesota. And as for any class, any educational offerings, this class also requires continuous improvement. And we can divide continuous improvement into two areas. The first area is, of course, the content. So content-wise, more specifically, we look to have a textbook update. And so with the textbook currently in use, we want to partially replace it or supplement it with more recently published textbook, so fresher materials. And after each course offering, each instructor will set out to look for recently published journal articles and also latest industry news that can be used for each topic, and also to boost students' understanding of what has been happening in the industry. And we are also in the process of adding content about serving diverse audience, which has also been a focus within the broader extension environment at the University of Minnesota, and certainly within the tourism industry as a whole. And of course, content-wise, we are continuously looking for good topics for the Timely Topics Weeks. And what I also want to point out about Timely Topics is that it is a wonderful opportunity for us at the Tourism Center and the Center for Community Vitality to collaborate with different units within the university. And so, for example, the latest offering is food safety, and we get to work with extensions food science unit with their professors, faculty, and extension educators to develop the content. And it's such an amazing experience for not just the students to learn from the experts whose professional experience has been focused on food science and food safety, but also for us instructors to get to know each other and to work with each other, and also to learn from each other. And the other part of continuous improvement is online engagement. Again, this is a completely online delivered class. And so, with all these tools and opportunities and possibilities of online learning, we want to further boost the online interactions between instructors and students to make students feel more engaged and engaging. And so we are trying to work with Extensions IT service to look at possibilities for to optimize online learning with technology. So I want to finish my webinar with brief information about pricing. So for the regular portion of the class, which lasts for 6 weeks, it is $4.99 before early registration deadline and $5.99 after early registration deadline. And with this registration, you will be able to take Timely topic number 1 as well with no additional fee. And we have also been running a special that is if you register before the early registration deadline, you can invite another staff person from your same festival or event to take the class with you. In other words, 2 registrants per event or festival for 1 registration fee before the early registration deadline. And for each of the timely topics, it is 99 before early registration deadline and 149 afterwards. So that's all I have for you. Hopefully, I have covered the most important informations, the basics, and provide you with a clear overview of this online course. Thank you so much for your interests and attention. And here is my contact information. If you have any questions, please feel free to email or call me. Thank you so much.
And of course, we're able to take questions right now through the chat box. So, and while people are thinking of their questions, I have a few for you.
Yes,
One is
please.
are your typical students then, are they community members?
Mm, I would say many students are actually professionals who work full-time or part-time in a position that is related to either festival or event planning or management. But we also have professionals who over time sees more and more duties, responsibilities in their daily jobs to work with or plan for festivals and events. However, they have not received much training or have much work experience in this field before, and so they're looking for continuing education to be better able to work in their job capacity. And occasionally, we'll also have folks who are looking to break into the festival and event industry or, switch career from something else into festival and event. And very occasionally, we'll also have academics who, faculty or staff academics who are looking for a refresher or continuing education.
Okay,
So we have a
great.
good mix.
Well, we've got some great questions there on the mechanics of the registration process. If two people, if you use the buy one get one free
Mhm.
registration, do they both
Right.
get the certificate?
I would say, yeah, as long as they each one of them actively participate in the class and also submit the event analysis paper in time, then yes, each of the two will be able to obtain the certificate of completion.
And basically, I think these next two questions are you must have some kind of website where the registration dates and how to register are located.
Oh, yes, for sure. And for that, I really apologize. I should have included the website of Tourism Center and specifically the class's webpage. So the information for each offering is updated as quickly as we can and on Tourism Center's website and also on the website of Center for Community Vitality. And you will be able to find the early registration dates and also the timely topics, and also it will guide you. It will provide links towards the registration website where you will be able to get yourself registered.
Another question I had was, what about bandwidth? A lot of folks are in rural areas. What kind of bandwidth do you need to really access this?
Let me think. It's a good question. I I would say for the majority of the course content, it does not require, it does not have high requirement of bandwidth, but we do have, video clips that might, be uh, loaded more slowly if the bandwidth is limited. And I would say the multimedia probably is the biggest concern in terms of loading, getting to view it and downloading things.
Okay. Now here's sort of a maybe it's a timely topic for the future if you haven't already addressed this. More of a technical question. In my travels throughout the region and beyond, I think in general, most people are very receptive to the idea of tourism as a way to generate economic activity in the region, but I do occasionally run into individuals or even groups who are a little bit skeptical of it. They're afraid of outsiders coming in. They're afraid of their town being turned into a cartoon of itself. How do you handle those kinds of concerns?
Um, I I would say it is a complicated issue that is no, very easy answer to it. And I've also read news about actually a place in a town in Michigan that's kind of becomes hesitant to stage their traditional summer large scale festival or event just because there are too they start to feel overwhelmed by the number of tourists visiting their place each summer. And I have to say it is a subtle balance in terms of how we serve the outside, newcomers, so to speak, or visitors and tourists, while we maintain the identity, or say a town is proud of its own identity and would like the tourists, the visitors to experience, to see their identity, to experience their unique culture, rather than turning the place into a cartoon or some very touristy place that lost its own identity. And so I would say it requires very cognizant and collaborative planning and ongoing management and thinking to preserve the town's identity while still being welcoming of visitors. And a festival and event can be, and I believe it is a good way to actually welcome visitors while also celebrating a place's own identity. But it requires careful planning, management, execution, and also evaluation. I hope I have answered the question.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think there's also, I guess, questions about what type of tourists you want to engage with. For example, the town that's being overrun, maybe they would do better with 500 people who spend $1,000 than, five 5,000 people who spend $10. I don't know if you've got material that talks about that in terms of, attracting the higher spending tourists.
Because the class is focused on festival and event management rather than the broader tourism planning and development. So we do not provide information in this regard, but we have other program offerings within the tourism center, particularly the tourism assessment program. And that has a broader theme of tourism development, which which in during the program offering we'll be able to talk about the type of tourists a place attracts and how to manage tourists.
Okay, great. I guess that does bring me to my last question, which is, could you give a brief overview of other services that the Tourism Center might offer to people outside of Minnesota?
Sure. We have several things that we can offer apart from the festival and event management class. We also have a program called At Your Service. At Your Service is delivered and managed by Cynthia Messer, also a tourism specialist in a tourism center. And At Your Service, as you may have guessed, is about customer service and with diverse audience and change in demographics and certainly change in the tourism market. It is important to for tourism entities to constantly, make sure that their customer service is on par and can be exceptional. So, At Your Service is a program that focuses on customer service. Right now, it is delivered. In person, but with cross-state collaborative opportunities and grants, we can certainly, and we are more than happy to bring the program to other states. That's for sure. And also, we have variety of applied research projects going on. So usually we'll have an entity or say a community or a destination area approaching us, wanting to for example, do a visitor profile project. And so we'll be able to collaborate with that place to plan for the project and implement the project. And we are also actually actively looking for cross-state collaborations. So, for example, for our ongoing State of Sustainable Tourism questionnaire. So it is an online questionnaire that is targeted towards industry players, so hotels and CVBs, convention and visitors bureaus, attractions, so on and so forth. So tourism entities basically to look at the sustainable practices they have implemented or they have engaged in. And so it would be great if we can work together, collaborate on implementing the questionnaire not only in the state of Minnesota, but also in other states. And so we will be able to then compare not only within Minnesota over time, but also across different states over time. So that will be very useful information, and for each state to recognize the state's particular situations, what is unique within each state, and what is common across state. And also for my ongoing project on the economic impact of biking and the health effects of biking in Minnesota. And again, it will be great if we can, do cross-state collaboration on such endeavors so that we can also look at all things related to biking, particularly economic impact and health effects across state for comparisons, and also to move, the subject of sustainable transportation forward. So these are the educational programs and also applied research that we can offer and collaborate.
Excellent. Well, very good answers, a very well organized session, and this is great. I'm not seeing any other questions coming in on the chat box, so I think